dkdynamite, and today what I have for you guys is something I didn't think was possible in Call of Duty Zombies. We have a 3-player completion of the buried Easter egg, we have a solo completion of the transit Easter egg for the Richtofen side, and we also now have the ability to complete certain Easter eggs on solo that were only beatable on co-op in the past. The Easter eggs for Ascension, Shangri-La, and Shadows of Evil. So there's quite a bit to go through in today's video. Definitely stay tuned until the very end. First and foremost, huge shout out goes out to Nanikos. His link will be down below in the description. He's pretty well known over on the COD Zombies Reddit. He actually reached out to me with the footage you're seeing on screen today, and he also was taking part in the buried 3-player completion. As you'll see in the bottom right corner, he was doing the targets at the saloon. We had Hatcher doing the targets at Juggernog, and Raheem doing the targets at the mansion. Using some very precise strategies, they were able to shoot not only their targets, but also covering the targets at Candy Shop as well. So it wasn't just 1 or 2 people shooting each other's targets, it was all 3 of them shooting their own targets and then helping each other out as well, as you'll see. So Nanikos will take a couple of seconds in between his targets and shoot a couple targets that are for Hatcher over at the Jug location, while Hatcher shoots some targets that are for the Candy Shop, and Raheem's covering the mansion and occasionally turning around to shoot some of the Candy Shop's targets. It is unbelievable. This is one of those steps that I find to be very fun when everybody knows what they're doing, but playing with somebody who's inexperienced will make this step hell. And I've been there before. I've been in certain games where there was maybe 1 or 2 people that just couldn't nail their targets down, so you're in game on this step for a matter of hours. But then I've been in games where our team was so experienced, this step got done in literally 1 or 2 tries within a couple of minutes. But then you have Nanikos and his team doing the impossible, finishing that step with 3 people. And people out there were asking if this is possible on 2-player, and honestly I just don't think that's possible. Looking at the precision that's needed for this 3-player completion, I just don't know if it's humanly possible for somebody to shoot multiple targets at the same time. You know, the level of precision there just would not make sense, but maybe they'll prove us wrong. Maybe one day we'll see something like that, but I could assume that'll take even more hours to complete because you have to have coverage at Saloon. Saloon is a location that's farthest away from the other 3, so you need to have somebody there, and Saloon could be a pretty difficult one since it does get pretty dark when some of the targets pop up. So I'm not sure if somebody can handle Saloon and then somehow do, you know, Candy Shop or Jug. It's just not possible. Maybe there's some wallbang strategy they can figure out with FMJ or something. I'm not sure if that's even possible, but just looking at this 3-player completion, it's just unbelievable to see them beat this and have all those perks pop up on their screen. And obviously you need that 4th person in there to activate the end game, but just being able to beat this Easter egg with 3 people, I just don't think anybody's gonna be able to pull this off in the future. I think Nanikos and his team really have this nailed down. The level of precision is just unreal. I cannot believe it. But then a couple of hours after that, he also sent me this link to somebody named Apex Dragon 6 who was able to complete the transit Easter egg on solo. Again, something that I just never thought could be pulled off, and this is obviously for the Richtofen side because the Maxis side does require 2 turbines underneath the pylon. You have to wait for the Avogadro to spawn and then you go from there. But the Richtofen side doesn't necessarily require you to have 4 people, but it's really recommended to have at least more than 2 to make that EMP step really simple. But as you'll see in Apex Dragon 6 game here, you'll notice that the way he completes the EMP step is something that, again, I never thought anybody would ever pull off. But as you'll see, he's underneath one of the lampposts, throws an EMP to, I guess, another one, throws one where he's at, grabs a max ammo that luckily spawned by him, jumps in that teleporter, and then does the same thing again. So he's able to hit 4 lampposts all at once, literally within a matter of seconds. And that's the goal of that step, right? You have to take out 4 lampposts using EMPs, and you could do it on 2-player. I've done it on 2-player many times where, you know, you have 2 players with EMPs, they throw one at their lamppost, jump in a teleporter, and then immediately throw another one wherever they end up. But the issue with that is RNG, and that's why I'm mind blown with this single-player completion here, because you need the RNG not only to get max ammo here on solo, the way he did it, right? Because he threw one, threw another, grabbed max ammo, and then did it again. But you have to rely on the RNG of teleporting to a certain location, right? A new location, right? Another lamppost, and then again going from there. So I'm not sure if there's like a specific strategy with where he teleported to, or if he knew where he was going to be teleported to, or if it was just pure RNG being teleported to a different lamppost to throw that EMP. Because again, I've been in plenty of games where I've thrown an EMP, my teammate did the same thing, we jump into the teleporters, and we end up at the lamppost that, we were both at to begin with. So that just requires a restart or requires getting a max ammo to get more EMPs, right? You have to rely on those teleporters to bring you to new lampposts to do it on 2-player, and that's already a challenge. But doing this on solo, again, that throw with the first EMP that he had, right? He threw it at a different lamppost, who knows where that was. He must definitely know exactly where it is on the map, through that one, and then went through this portal to finish it. It's just, again, unreal, right? A solo completion of the transit Easter egg. Next up, I wanted to go over being able to do certain Easter eggs on solo. They were only beatable on co-op in the past, right? The Easter eggs for Ascension, Shangri-La, and Shadows of Evil. So on Ascension, you really only need 4 people for like 1 or 2 steps, and that first step is with the buttons, right? During a monkey round, the buttons that spawn in near some of the perk machines have to be clicked at around the same time by all 4 people. But with this new mod, which I have linked down below in the description, it was made by somebody by the name of Coralessa, hope I said that right, you can now just click 1 button to finish that step, and then when you get to the end of the Easter egg where Gersh is sitting there on the ground, you no longer have to throw Matryoshka dolls once you throw that Gersh right at him. So that's really cool. And when it comes to how this works on co-op, you could run the mod on co-op with 2 or 3 people as well, and there are certain changes made to the Easter egg based on how many players are in the game. But this mod is very helpful for everybody out there who just doesn't have a full team of 4 people to do some of these things with. And then moving on to Shangri-La, this one's really cool as well. Only 1 player needs to click a button and boom, you enter Eclipse mode. And if you're on 2 or 3 players, then you guys have to all click buttons at the same time, but 4 players are no longer required to enter Eclipse mode, and that is huge because Shangri-La is one of those maps where if you're not playing with a team of players that you either know personally or at least have mics on, you're just not getting anything done. You're not opening Pack-a-Punch, you're not doing the Easter egg, and that's how that goes. Then with the tile step, at least on solo, once you step on a tile, it would automatically match with the correct tile. So it's kind of a cheat for the step, but again, being able to do it on solo is now possible. And then with 2 and 3 player, you guys just have to match everything just as normal, but 4 players are not required. Then for the slide step, only 1 player has to hit the switch while they're going down the slide. It is that cool. That's a massive change to doing the Shangri-La Easter egg. Because again, it's probably one of the hardest Easter eggs because it requires the most communication, at least in my opinion, for Call of Duty Zombies. And now looking at Shadows of Evil, this is pretty cool as well. You will now be allowed to enter the final step with any amount of players in the games. Right when you trap the Shadow Man in the summoning key, that giant gate worm will spawn, allowing you to do the final step, which can get you that Richtofen ending cutscene. Now, once the rails have been shocked in beast mode, they will stay on permanently, allowing you to do this again in any format in game, either solo, 2-player, or 3-player. Now, I think this is great, and it really gets me thinking about Black Ops 2 mod tools, as I talked about on stream a couple of times. They're definitely in the works by some wonderful people in the Zombies community. There's going to be some custom maps for Black Ops 2. I'm really looking forward to that. I'm going to end up buying Black Ops 2 on PC once those mod tools do come out. And that's my only purpose for playing Call of Duty Zombies on Steam, right? It's for the mod tools, for the custom maps, for the new mods and abilities, stuff like that. So once that ends up dropping, I'll give Black Ops 2 a shot. Hopefully some mods are made for some of the other Victus Easter eggs, right? For even Die Rise and Bear. Maybe there'll be an official mod made by somebody where on Die Rise, all you have to do is step on 1 elevator at a time to start the first step, and you can go from there. So maybe some adjustments will be made similar to the adjustments made for Black Ops 3 Zombies, but we'll just have to wait and see if that happens or not. But again, let me know what you think of this down below in the comment section. The impossible is now possible here for some of these Easter eggs. Stuff that I never thought was going to be pulled off before has now been pulled off by some phenomenal people in the Zombies community. But this definitely begs the question, should Treyarch incorporate 4-player Easter eggs in Black Ops 5 Zombies and beyond, or should they stick with Easter eggs where literally 1 or 2 people in game can do the whole thing while the other players can just get carried, right? A lot of people out there are opposed to getting carried. They feel like everybody in game should play a role in the main quest, which I understand, but there's people out there who just don't have a full team of 4 or only have 1 or 2 friends. They just can't do some of these Easter eggs, and they're really missing out on some of the great experiences you get out of doing these main quests, watching these cutscenes, and I think everybody out there should get a fair chance at doing them. So if you ask me, I think they should ditch that whole mechanic where you need 4 people to do a whole main quest. And looking at some of the Easter eggs, right, on Ascension and Shang, you can pretty much do all the steps by yourself, but you only need a full team of 4 to do like 1 or 2 things, which to me is ridiculous. And same thing on Shadows of Evil. I've certainly done the last step with just 3 people, but here's what happens, right? When you trap the Shadow Man, you have to have all 4 people at least in the game. The 4th player doesn't have to do anything once that giant gate worm spawns. The 4th player can die out, could even quit, but as long as you're on that step with the train, 3 people can actually do it. You'll have one person shock a box and then run to shock the keepers. You have another player that's just shocking their box, and you then have another player who calls the train, then shocks their box, and boom, you can beat the step. The only issue is you need a 4th person spawned in on the match when you actually trap the Shadow Man so that that gate worm fully registers and then begins the train step. But again, 3 people can actually beat it, and it reminds me perfectly of Buried, where you don't necessarily need 4 people to beat it, but you're gonna need 4 people to either activate that step or get to that point somehow. That's the real issue with it. So I think with Nanicos and his team, they had 4 people doing all the steps of the main Easter egg, and then that 4th person just backed out when Sharpshooter started so they can beat it on 3 players. But with Shadows, you have to have that 4th person to even get that step to work. So again, it goes to show that there's many Easter eggs out there where you only need 4 people for like 1 or 2 parts, but then everybody else can carry along the way, which I think is crazy. But you know, going into Black Ops 5, I think it is best to ditch that mechanic and allow everybody out there to beat any Easter egg they want, because they're definitely missing out. But that is about it. This has been dkdynamite. Once again, huge shout out to Nanicos and his team for completing the impossible in Call of Duty Zombies with maps like Buried and Transit, and also huge shout out to Corlessa over on the Steam Workshop, who made this solo mod for Easter eggs like Ascension, Shang, and Shadows. But really hope you've enjoyed, and peace out, everyone.